For the past couple of seasons, we've seen a second-year quarterback take off and help win fantasy leagues. A couple years ago was Jalen Hurts, and last year we saw Justin Fields in the second half and Trevor Lawrence both lead teams to fantasy championships. So who's it going to be this year? Before we get to the candidates, we're going to break down what exactly made those quarterbacks so successful, what it takes, the pros and the cons of all this year's second-year quarterbacks. And then finally, we'll give you our take on who it's going to be. Who's going to be that quarterback that could help you win your league? Now, Chris, anybody who watched this a couple years ago would know that you were all over Jalen Hurts before the 21 season. What is it exactly that we're going to look for in a breakout quarterback?
Yeah, I think there's a few things. Number one, you want to know that there's at least some chance that the talent is there. So somebody who put up good numbers in college or is in a great system in the NFL. And maybe we saw it in flashes. And that was the thing with Jalen Hurts back in 2021. And even last year with Justin Fields and Trevor Lawrence. Those guys, even though they didn't do a whole lot as rookies, especially Trevor Lawrence, who really underperformed based on our expectations, they showed flashes of what they were capable of. And people who paid attention and saw those flashes, reaped the rewards the next year when they basically bought into those guys as potential second-year breakouts.
All right, first name on the list is Malik Willis, Tennessee. What are the pros and the cons here?
The pros, he ran for a lot of yards in college. He's athletic. He's in the NFL. Is that a pro? He's actually on an NFL roster. The cons, pretty much everything else. I mean, he was terrible last year. He was okay running the ball, but when you lose your job to Josh Dobbs in a must-win playoff game, that's not a good sign. So, cons here, pretty much everything else.
Yeah, look, people might laugh that we're even mentioning him. You might remember on draft day and then all last offseason, a lot of people thought he could be like another Justin Fields, could run, has the arm talent. Just the decision-making and the whole thing about throwing the football it hasn't quite worked out. And it looks like they've already given up on him, so I think we can give up on him too. All right, now what about Sam Howell, who, again, a lot of people skeptical about? We haven't really seen what he can do. He hasn't had his shot other than one game, and he looks pretty good in that one game. What's your take on him?
Well, I'll say the pros here is, his first 2 years in college, he put up monster numbers, did take a dip the last year. Also, he's in an offense where he's got weapons around him. He's got Terry McLaurin. He's got Jahan Dotson entering year 2. He's got Curtis Samuel. The cons for me are, again, we did see that dip in production in college. So which Sam Howell is the real Sam Howell? Also, he fell in the draft, a 5th-round pick. Not many 5th-round picks make it in the NFL.
Yeah, we don't have a track record in the NFL really to look at other than that really small sample size. But a lot of people forget he was a dual threat in college, which is why he was one of the top college prospects before his disappointing season, but ran for 828 yards and 11 touchdowns, so he does have that ability. All right, now what about Desmond Ritter, who just got another weapon in that system with Bijan Robinson?
Yeah, pros here is he's in a fantastic offense behind a great offensive line. I mean, you want to talk about weapons. You got Drake London, you got Kyle Pitts, you got Bijan Robinson, tons of weapons, great offensive line. The cons, definite question marks about his ability and his talent. Also question marks about how much they're even going to let him throw the ball in this offense.
I think Ritter is a pretty good quarterback, and like you said, definitely has the weapons right now. That's not an issue, and a good offensive line to back him up. That's really important for a quarterback. My worry here is, what is the ceiling, really? Because this is an offense that's going to be pretty conservative, is going to run the ball even more this year with Bijan. So I think he'll be good, but I wonder if he has even the potential in that offense to be great. All right, next up, we're going to talk about a guy who technically isn't a second-year quarterback, but you probably consider him that because he didn't even sniff the field his first year, and it's Kyle Trask, who actually has a chance to be the starting quarterback in Tampa Bay. What do we think about him?
Yeah, he's an interesting one. Put up prolific passing numbers in college, but barely runs at all. He's pretty much a statue. The other thing going for him here is he's really only got to beat out Baker Mayfield, which doesn't sound that hard. Also, he does have some nice weapons, right, with Chris Godwin and Mike Evans. Cons here, this offense, this team, probably in a rebuild. Not going to be very good. The other con is he might not beat out Baker Mayfield. He may not even be starting week 1.
I mean, he's got every opportunity to be the quarterback here, as hard as it is to believe. And I had to actually fact check this. They took him in the second round. I mean, this team obviously does have some belief in him, but I just don't know if I see him as a star at the next level. I mean, we have to see more than what we have so far. Last year during the offseason, struggled. This year, I haven't heard anything that makes me truly a believer. So I'm going to have to get some more proof. And that's, to me, is a con, is that I haven't seen any proof that he actually could be a good NFL quarterback. Now, maybe the most intriguing name here is Brock Purdy. Is he going to play? Is he going to be the starter? And can he do what he did toward the end of last season? So what's the pro and con here?
Well, the pros are we've seen him do it. He was pretty good towards the end of last season. The other pro is obviously in a fantastic offense, weapons everywhere. I mean, just loaded top to bottom. This whole team is loaded, really. Cons are obviously coming off a really significant elbow injury. Will that affect him? Even if he's out there week one, will that affect his arm strength, his accuracy? The other thing is, this guy was not a talented prospect coming out of college. Remember, he was the last pick in the NFL draft. Did he just go on a heater last year, and now he's going to crash back down to earth, or can he continue what he did towards the end of last year?
You know what? I'm going to look a little bit more at the intangibles. I'll say that, number one, we've seen proof that he can do it at the next level, and he obviously believes in himself, and he's got the belief of his teammates. That is huge for a quarterback. You've got to be on the same page with the receivers, and also you've got to have them trust you. That just makes things so much easier. I don't know, though, if his coach is really all in, invested in him, because he doesn't seem to really care who he puts at running back, who he puts at quarterback. As long as they fit the system, you get the job done. And if somebody else has a better training camp, if somebody else is healthier week one, might never get that starting job back again. So I don't know if I really can put trust in him. And then let's go to Pitt and talk about Kenny Pickett, somebody who struggled early, came on late, but is he a guy who could be a second-year breakout?
I mean, he definitely has some good advantages here. The pros are first-round draft capital. We know the Steelers are 100% committed to him. Nobody's going to take his job. The other pros, he also has some nice weapons around him. Deontay Johnson, George Pickens, Pat Freiermuth, even Najee Harris out of the backfield. Cons are they really, really hit him down the stretch. I mean, they let him do the bare minimum to win games. They lean on that defense. Will that change in 2023? Also, I didn't like him as a prospect. I didn't think he was really a talented guy at all. I didn't think he was worthy of a first-round pick. Can he overcome that? Maybe. We'll see.
Well, like you said, job security definitely on his side. Got some good weapons at receiver, stud running back. I think I'm going to hold it against him, the fact that he's going to be held back by his offense. It's too conservative. Over the last 7 games, he only averaged 177 passing yards per game and a total of 5 passing touchdowns. That's 5 touchdowns in 7 games. Now, he could do better this year, but he's also not a dual threat guy. He's a scrambler, but he's not a runner. So I think his ceiling might be capped. So who is going to be this year's breakout quarterback from that list? Well, before we get to that, let me remind you, join us on flockfantasy.com/endgame. You'll get access to all of our bonus articles, videos, rankings, dynasty course to help you build a winning team right here, right now. You can join us and compete against us in our Building Dynasties League and so much more. 30% off right now. flockfantasy.com/endgame. All right, so let's get to it. Who is going to be that guy you want to draft at quarterback that could help take you to that next level in fantasy? Who's your pick?
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. This is tough. I mean, none of these guys jump off the page as obvious picks. I know the safe pick is probably Kenny Pickett, but I just don't see a ceiling for him this year. Maybe if Brock Purdy was 100% healthy, I could buy into him because of the weapons, but I do worry about that elbow. This might sound crazy, but I'm going to go with Sam Howell of the Commanders, and no, it's not because I'm a Commanders fan. I like the fact that his running ability, he even showed it in that game last year, put up nice rushing yardage, had a rushing touchdown. If he gets a little bit better through the air, if they let him, unleash it a little bit more with these weapons and with what he can do with his legs, I think he can be the breakout quarterback of this class. All
right. Hey, I don't mind taking a shot on Howell here and there in drafts, but you know who I like from this list? I know a lot of people are just going to say it should be Purdy. I'm not trusting that 49ers offense right now. I'm going to go with Desmond Ritter because we saw he was actually pretty good at the end of last year. Let's not forget that was with Drake London, and that's pretty much it. He will have Kyle Pitts, did not have him last year when he was the quarterback. And oh yeah, he's getting maybe the best running back in the NFL now, who's also an amazing pass catcher in Bijan Robinson. I already mentioned the offensive line. No, this offense isn't going to be pass heavy, but man, he could just dump it off to those guys and let them do the work. Isn't that kind of what Brock Purdy and all those 49ers quarterbacks do? I mean, this offense could be a lot better than people think, and Ritter did a good job preventing turnovers. I mean, this is a guy I think will surprise a lot of people with how well he does. So now you know who this year's breakout quarterback could be. Who's going to be this year's stud receiver like Amon-Ra St. Brown was last year? Well, you can find out.